Welcome to Mr. Wizard's Workshop, episode 43. This episode is A Balanced Life is a Lie. Wait, what? Just about everybody seems to assume that living a balanced life is a worthy and attainable goal. So why is a balanced life one of the 6 big lies in the most excellent book, The One Thing? Regular viewers of my workshop know I'm all over most of the content of the One Thing book. For example, one of the other big lies the book savages is multitask. Hallelujah, brother. I wrote a blog post about multitasking being total bullshit years ago, even before I read the book. This chapter in the book took me totally by surprise. So how could striving for a balanced life be a big mistake? How could the authors poo-poo the golden mean? Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. So stick with me and find out. And if you'd like a copy of this slide deck, just email me at support@theaccountabilitywizard.com and I'll be happy to send you a copy. So we hear about balance so much, we automatically assume it's exactly what we should be seeking. The point that the authors of the book make is it's not. Purpose, meaning, significance are what makes a successful life. Quotes directly from Gary Keller, primary author of the book. So seek those things and you will most certainly live your life out of balance, crisscrossing an invisible middle line as you pursue your priorities. The act of living a full life by giving time to what matters is a balancing act. Extraordinary results require focused attention and time. Time on one thing means time away from another thing. So this makes balance impossible. If you try to attend to all things, everything gets shortchanged and nothing gets its due. And sometimes that can be okay, and sometimes not. So knowing when to pursue the middle, when to pursue the extremes is the trick. Extraordinary results are achieved by this negotiation with your time. Here's a diagram that puts together actually 3 separate illustrations, one after the other in the book, in this chapter on why a balanced life is a lie. So the first one shows the hypothetical golden mean, where work and life are completely imbalanced. But the point they make is, in the book, is you're running right down the middle of the road. It's kind of a mediocre Goldilocks thing where you're not getting a whole lot accomplished, relatively speaking. The second diagram shows working at the extremes, where both work, which is the black line, and life going to extremes. So this is way out of balance, and this would include sacrificing your life domain things like health, for example, working 16 hours a day, ignoring your sleep, ignoring exercise, ignoring your family, potentially ignoring integrity. So it's also not recommended. The third one, and I'll come back to this after I talk about it a little bit more, shows going to extremes on the work side, but keeping your life, the red line, in balance, or is the term they use, counterbalance. So when we say that we're out of balance, we're usually referring to a sense that something that matters to us are not being served or being underserved. The problem is when you focus on what is truly important, something will always be underserved or unmet. No matter how hard you try, there will always be things left undone at the end of your day, your week, your month, your year, and your life. So trying to get them all done is folly. Leaving some things undone is a necessary trade-off for extraordinary results. But you can't leave everything undone, and that's where counterbalancing comes in. So there are 2 types of counterbalance. One is balancing between work and your personal life, which is important, and balancing within each, which is also very important. So in the world of work, professional success, it's not about how much overtime you put in. The key ingredients is focused time over time. So to achieve extraordinary professional success, you must choose what matters most and give it all the time it demands. This requires getting extremely out of balance in relation to all other work issues, with only infrequent counterbalancing to address them. And if you've been following any of my YouTube shorts on time blocking, 2 or 3 different episodes where I dived into this into a whole lot more detail. In your personal world, awareness is the essential ingredient. Awareness of your spirit and body, awareness of your family and friends, awareness of your personal needs. I like to think of the personal domains as spirituality, integrity, family and friends, health, and community. So none of these can be sacrificed if you intend to have a life. So you can never forsake them for work or forsake one personal domain for another. You can move back and forth quickly between these personal domains, but you can't neglect any of them for long. So whether or not to get out of balance isn't the question. The question is, do you go short or do you go long? So in your personal life, go short and avoid long periods where you're out of balance. Going short lets you stay connected to all the things that matter most and move them along together. In your professional life, go long and make peace with the idea that the pursuit of extraordinary results may and probably will require you to be out of balance for longer, potentially fairly long periods. Going long in your professional life lets you focus on what matters most, even at the expense of other lesser priorities. So if you take this approach in your personal life, nothing gets left behind, but in your professional life, it's required that some things are going to get left behind. So I wanted to revisit especially the third one, the work-life counterbalancing, now to explain it a little bit more. So again, you're going long on the work side, the black line. You're going short on your personal life, where you're trying to make sure that, one, you don't cheat your personal life by going too far to extreme on your work life, and that you don't cheat your personal life by going to extremes and letting things go for long periods of time in your areas like health, family, friends, spirituality, all the domains that are so important in the personal life. So your action item for this week is, first, decide which of the 3 diagrams best illustrate your approach currently to living your life. So once again, is it A, B, or C? They don't really have the letters on it, but the work life in the middle, kind of the mythical, truly balanced life. Work life at the extremes, that would be your type A, work till you drop, have a heart attack approach. Or the last one, work-life counterbalancing, where you focus on your most important thing in work and give it the time it needs, and don't fret about letting other less important things fall by the wayside for long periods of time, versus in your personal life, going short and keeping things in much more in balance. And you only go for short periods of time where one or more of the domains in your personal life might get out of balance. So I have a question for you. Are you an entrepreneur who's highly motivated to improve your productivity, but you still struggle with procrastination and or regularly find yourself neglecting your highest priority tasks, the things we were just talking about in the work area of your life? So schedule a free 30-minute quick start to time blocking working session with me, and I'll show you how to beat procrastination and get your shit done. I'll post, that's the link. I'll also post it in the description of the recording for this video. So I'm a master of time blocking, and I can help you master it also. But I have a very limited number of time blocks available in my calendar for this. So grab a slot while you can.
Hello, Stephen.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
So I wanted to ask you, were you a little bit surprised by the today's topic, which is balance is a lie?
Yes, I was very surprised by it, and at the same time, I was very relieved to hear this. So, what was the name of that was the book, The One Thing, right?
Yes, The One Thing. And I really like that book a lot. I mean, it's not the only productivity book I've ever read by a long shot. I've read many of them, but it's one that I keep going back to fairly recently. It and a couple of others, a couple by Cal Newport, but it is an excellent book. And this particular topic was chapter 17, I think. It's one of the 6 big lies. And I to give them credit, I mean, all this content is pretty much just straight from that book and my thinking about it. When I first read that, I was taken completely by surprise. Unlike most of the content of that book, which, as I mentioned, I was already pretty much down with or made complete sense to me, like that whole chapter on multitasking is bullshit. I said, I already knew that, and I'd written a blog post about it even before I read the book. But that particular one, well, when I saw the title of it, I went, how can that possibly be? I put a fair amount of time into looking at it, thinking about it, looking at their diagram. So I'm now arrived at the point where, I believe they're pretty much right. It's a myth. The whole concept of a balanced life, it came up in the 80s, and there's a cultural thing. If you research it, can't remember who first used the term, but on the surface, it seems to be just intuitively obvious. Once you dive down and kind of grasp the points they make, it's one of those things that seems to be correct, but won't serve you well if you really try to follow it.
Yep. Well, balance certainly doesn't work for me. So hearing that is a great relief, and makes me love the book even more. Like I put it in my Kindle basket just now. I have a long reading list to do, but this one just got bumped up way further up the list. Right. So, but of course, at the same time, I'm very impressed by it. I guess now, after listening to you today, my interpretation is that, when we say balance is a myth, or work-life balance doesn't exist, or it's even kind of bad for us, I guess what people imagine is, oh, okay, so you're just gonna work, get fat, ugly, and die of a heart attack, you know? So,
And that would be the second track in the diagram. So the first track is that perfect case, the lines are all, you really are achieving total work-life balance. But the point they make is, while that sounds great, the reality is, especially on the professional side, to achieve extraordinary success means that you have to focus pretty heavily on your one thing, the big thing, the thing that really moves the needle.
yes,
So
I can totally relate to that statement. Like, because before I started coaching, I was a programmer, and I also did my own projects. I programmed several apps, like, in my spare time.
Yep.
And then, I would license those apps or sell them, things like that. And there was a time where I was obsessed with programming my app. I would go to sleep and dream about the code that I'm writing, and I would wake up, and you know how you wake up where your eyes open and you're ready. There's no snoozing, there's no just your eyes open and you're ready for the day. And that was, looking back, that was one of my most fulfilling time periods, and that lasted for almost a year,
Yeah.
But during that time, I didn't gain weight or anything. I still exercised almost every day. I still ate healthy, but at the same time, I was totally consumed by programming my app and making it the best it can be to sell it for a lot of money or as much as I can, and all that stuff.
Yep.
So when you say that, when you're going over the slides, this really resonates with me so much, because if I have to do something for this rule, like, do 1 hour per day of this, like 1 or 2 hours of everything per day, and then in 5 years you have a perfect life. I don't know. I don't feel much with this type of lifestyle, which is why I said balance doesn't really work for me. Like, if I don't have this clear mission, this like a jetpack on my shoulders, it's like, we're going there. And the reason why I sleep well, why I exercise, why I ate well, is because I needed to be, my head needed to be fresh. I can pour all the energy and motivation into programming my app. Consumed my life, right? But it didn't consume in the sense that I would neglect my body. No, my body needed to be fresh and strong and covered, so I can put more energy into my obsession. So that was a long-winded explanation.
And that's exactly right. And that's what that third picture is trying to illustrate, is you are going to the extremes with the black line, the work. That is, you're letting the little stuff, the lower priority things on the work side slide, because that's just a consequence of focusing heavily on the most important thing. They call it the one thing. Then you also realize that taking care of your personal domain, in your health, sleep, exercise, me, spirituality. I mean, I meditate just about every morning, almost first thing. It's not the very first thing I do, but along with getting, trying to get the right amount of basic exercise, I make sure that I think about and focus on spending quality time with my wife, because I traveled for 18 years. Basically, I lived on the road. So, one of the wonderful advantages of working from home is I can do that. I can spend, time with my wife and, with the puppies and connecting with nature. I live here in the country out on the farm. So, and all those things, in addition to being important to me, contribute to my effectiveness in my professional life. If I wasn't, they charge my batteries every morning. If I wasn't doing that, if I wasn't getting really quality sleep, if I wasn't eating well, if I wasn't getting the exercise, if I wasn't meditating, if I wasn't, recharging my batteries by spending time in nature, spending time with my wife, it wouldn't be nearly as effective during the time that I do allocate to work. Which of the three do you think you're actually living primarily? Are you pretty much in that third one, where you are working pretty well on going to the appropriate extremes on the work side, but keeping the balance, or counterbalance is the term they use, in your personal life domains?
The thing is, I've been kind of blaming myself for this extreme lifestyle where I just get obsessed by one thing. And so that's why I think you underestimate how impactful this presentation was for me today, completely unexpectedly, because I now, for the first time ever, there's someone's telling me that that was actually the right way of doing it.
Yep.
That I didn't need to feel bad for always finding something that consumes me, and like, just that's it. That's what I'm doing, So
yeah.
I've been practicing work-life balance for several years now, and I've gotten pretty good at it, but it doesn't It's not fun.
Right.
That's the best way I can put it. Like, just want to go all out with one thing. That is way more fun. So
Well, embrace that. Here would be the one slight caveat is that one thing going to move the needle significantly for your professional life? I mean, it doesn't have to be the highest revenue producer. We talked about that in some of the other, but it does need to be something that is going to significantly positively impact your professional life.
yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, I don't know, Stephen. Like, this was a big shift in perspective for me, especially seeing the graphics and hearing the arguments that you've put here. So I need to read the book, or at the very least, I need to read that chapter.
Yep.
And so I've been trying to practice the graphic A. I think that's the one.
The first one.
Yeah, the illusionary work-life balance thing.
Yes.
And but I also, up until like 15 minutes ago, I was convinced that if I want to be healthy and successful, I need to learn this and do this. And now there's like a new variation that sounds very appealing to me, and now I'm like looking for arguments to kind of, I don't know how it is for you, but with certain lifestyle changes or attitudes towards life, we want to be armed with arguments and evidence to kind of defend ourselves against criticism from people that are close to us or around us. So that's where I'm at right now. So
well, hopefully this has given you some ammunition to two things. One is kind of defend yourself or tune out. If someone gives you different advice, like, oh, you really need to home in on additional work-life balance, you've got enough information and you've given it enough independent thought and examined both sides of the argument and made your own decision. I mean, whether you choose to argue with someone or not, as long as you're clear in your own mind that, this is a good way for me to live my life, then you got what you need. That picture A, and he makes a point specifically, says it's not satisfying, and it's the ticket to mediocrity, where you're so heavy into work that you're not counterbalancing with the personal domains. That would be those people that become obsessed with, most of them it's money, and some of it is ego, but for those people, often there's never enough. They sacrifice their health, their relationship, in some cases their integrity, achieve extraordinary success in the work side of their life. But the point of the book is you don't have to do that, and that's not the optimal way to do it. Better go to the extreme on the work side, and that just means focusing in on your one thing, the most important things, and recognizing that other things are going to slide, and that's just a fact of life. And you need to do enough of those other things periodically to counterbalance, but recognize that there's some things related to work that might be reasonably good if you did do them, but you're not going to get them done. But then don't sacrifice the personal domain. Do those, counterbalance those pretty regularly. Don't let anything drop. Like, don't go 2 weeks or 3 weeks just eating junk food or burning your sleep. So I do build a schedule that includes those core other things on the business side that I need to done. But then I also build a daily schedule that includes those personal things: rest and relax, health, meditation. So that time blocking actually helps me to build a schedule that implements that third diagram, going to the extremes on the work side, but it's staying pretty counterbalanced, is the term they use, in the personal domains.
It is, that makes total sense. It's all intertwined. Like, that's where the time blocking comes in again. This was incredible. That's a great topic for a panel discussion as well. Like, I'm sure it hits a nerve,
All right. Well, thanks much for joining, and you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for this eye-opening presentation.
Thanks for watching this video recording from my live weekly workshop. Every Sunday, I feature instantly actionable steps you can take to overcome procrastination, increase your productivity, and get your shit done. Followed up by Q&A and discussion with the live participants. I really hope you found this video useful and you feel like watching it was time well spent. Please post any questions or comments you have. I always answer posts. I'd appreciate it very much if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you know anyone that would enjoy and benefit from this particular episode, please send them the link. Stay productive, my friends.